What's good, lads and ladettes? The prodigal son returns. It's been a while. Another episode of ABC Always Be Baking. And today we're going to be making some Krispy Kreme donuts. I realize that donuts are fried, not baked. And since this channel is called Always Be Baking, some of you may be understandably upset.
If you're not
Baking.
then you're my enemy.
Only a Sith deals in absolutes. I will
Fry.
but I must.
You will.
Bake. Alright, let's hold off on order 66 and get started on the wet ingredients, shall we? We're going to combine 1 1/4 cups of milk with a 1/4 cup of water and heat that up to about 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Next, I'm going to mistakenly add in all of the sugar that's supposed to go in the dry ingredients and then just make a mess of things. So don't do that. No sugar. Finally, toss in 2.5 teaspoons of yeast, mix it all together, and then give the yeast about 10 minutes to bloom. By the way, I'm only making about half this recipe, so follow what I say and not what you see. Cool. Now over to the dry ingredients. We've got 660 grams of APF, aka all-purpose flour. We're only going to use about half of that now. See? Half. Then we'll add in a teaspoon of salt. Yeah, that's a Turkish coffee cup, but it works and it's clean. And now we're going to pour in 90 grams of invisible sugar because you accidentally poured that into the yeast mixture. We'll give that a good whisk and set up the camera for the stand mixer. Cool, now we just take dry ingredients, minus the half we're saving for later, and then pour in our yeast mixture. While the stand mixer is doing its job, go ahead and crack 2 eggs to add in. Remember, I'm only making half the recipe, so you'll only see me add in 1. Let that go for about 4 minutes, and if you don't have a stand mixer, I don't know what to tell you, man.
My advice to you is to do what your parents did. Get a job, sir.
Once that's all mixed, we're going to throw in the rest of our APF and let that go for a couple minutes until we have a nice dough. And then now we're going to lightly flour our work surface, flop our dough on down, and then knead it until it becomes smooth and supple. Should only take a minute or so, not too long. Then roll it into a ball and then toss it into a lightly greased bowl. Cover that with some plastic wrap and then let it rise for about an hour or so. Once the dough's doubled in size, we're going to give it a good punch just to degas it. Then we're going to flour our work surface once more, a bit more this time because we're going to be rolling it out flat. And then when you're rolling it out, you're going to want to twist it every couple rolls so it doesn't stick to the work surface. Just keep going until you've got something that's about 1/4 inch. Then flour your donut cutter and then just start cutting out some donuts. Then once all your donuts and donut holes have been cut out, let's just get rid of that excess dough. You can't really reuse this. You're not going to get a good textured donut. Head on over to stovetop where we've got some vegetable oil heating to 375. And once our oil has reached our desired temperature, we're going to fry the donuts for about 90 seconds on each side until they're nice golden brown. Now that all of our donuts are fried, we're going to let them rest on a cooling rack while we make the icing. So let's start with 330 grams of powdered sugar. We're going to mix in 4 tablespoons of milk, and then you can add in a little bit of vanilla if you want. And finally, 2 tablespoons of corn syrup, which is going to give the icing a nice crunch. Just mix that up until you have a nice consistency. And finally, we're going to dip the donuts into the icing, getting them nice and glazed. I went a little crazy and glazed them on both sides. Maybe make a bit more icing if you want to do this. It's your waistline. Then just shake off the excess icing and let it rest on the cooling rack. Now make sure you give them at least 10 minutes to set, otherwise you won't get that nice crackle from the glaze. And there's Crunch, having conceded that I'm not going to let her steal a donut. Finally, the taste test. Texture is really soft with a nice crunch on the outside. That's kind of subtle. You can see how the donut just pulls apart. Oh, look at that. And it is delicious. If you don't take my word for it or this stupid little dance I do, let's ask Champions League winner and Premier League manager of the season, Jurgen Klopp, what he had to say about them.
It's a very erotic
donut,
by the way. Translator. Congratulations. Wow. Again, please.
Yeah, sorry about that. Now, these do take a bit more work than the other things I've made, but they're definitely worth it. Give them a shot. Let me know how it goes.